I'm standing right outside the new elections and registration building for Henry County. Those of you who are familiar with this area, you know that this building has been a county facility for many, many years. Well, it has just been renovated very thoroughly in the last year and was dedicated early in September. And about 3 weeks ago, the department moved in here, elections and registration. As some of you may know, with the way elections have skyrocketed in recent years, this filled a great need by this department. Janet Shellnut is the director of elections and registration for the county. She took me on a little tour of the new building and filled us in on some of the details and what they're able to do in this facility just off of Highway 2081, about a mile west of the square in McDonough. Here's what she had to say.
Well, we already had the staff for our department, but we were on top of one another at our old building, working out of three buildings. Now we're all in one building, spread out, voter friendly, plenty of room for people to park and vote. So it's been a big accomplishment, and we're very proud of it.
Now, for folks who are familiar with this building, you're using the upstairs and the downstairs, and you really need every foot of it, right?
That's right. We went from almost 6,000 square feet to around 18,000. And we're downstairs is equipment, viewing area. Upstairs is all administrative and voting.
You mentioned the viewing area. You now, if I understand correctly, you have the ability where folks don't have to go to the county administration building anymore to see the votes counted and hear the results on election night. They'll be able to come here and do that, correct?
That's correct. And we're real proud of having the area. We could probably seat between 100 and 125 to watch the results come in. And on local races, you do have a good many. Not as much on a presidential election, but during your county official, sheriff, probate judge and stuff, they all want to come out and watch the results.
What are some of the other things that citizens have will be able to use here that y'all didn't have in the past? For instance, I believe you have an ID facility here, correct?
That's right. We actually have a waiting room. We actually have a photo ID room for people that do not have IDs. That might be somebody that lost their license but still is able to vote and haven't been convicted of a felon. We're able to give them a photo ID. So we have one room set up for that. We have a separate room for a conference room, which we never had. We all actually have a few offices for a change, which we didn't have before. I think I was the only one that had an office in our other building. Every bit of this is in use, but it also is room for expansion. I mean, that we can open up and be here for 10 years without having to make much changes.
Yeah. Now, let folks know just briefly what your staff does when there's not an election going on, because you guys are working 12 months out of the year. What's going on when there's not an election?
Well, you know, that is probably the biggest question most people ask. What do you do when you're not doing elections, or is your job full-time? There's a tremendous amount of work. Part of it is when you do 5 elections or 6 elections a year, you have a lot of catch-up work to do. Registrations are coming in the state, in the county, moving around daily. So we constantly have to upgrade the registrations. When I first started 13 years ago, we got a few registrations a day, or not more than 50 a week. We're getting close to 200 a day. So we process those. We also have to keep up with the felons, whether they can vote or not vote. Out of state is always trying to track those when they've moved or back into the state, because it's very important that they can't vote in 2 states, because you have people that actually would try, you know. There's just a constant amount of work.
Yeah. Now, with municipal elections coming up, my understanding is, folks, you can actually vote in any of the 4 city elections here. Tell us how that works and tell us when voting can start.
Yes, we've contracted all 4 cities. We will be working with booths here in our office for each city that can come 8 to 5. We're starting to vote October 12th. We have McDonough, Stockbridge, Hampton, and Locust Grove available here. The week before the election, I think that's the 26th through the 30th, we will have, each city will have early voting in their city. Mail-outs will be done from here. All paper ballots will be mailed from here. But we're trying to make it available in the cities and here so that people actually have a chance to vote.
That was Janet Shelnut, Director of Elections and Registration. They are now located at 345 Phillips Drive, as we said, about a mile west of the square, just off of 2081, right around the corner from Windy Hill Park and Henry County Middle School. A little bit of background. This building was built in 1975, and until the late 90s, it was the county administration building. The Board of Commissioners used to meet just in that very back corner of that building until they moved into the building that they're in now on Henry Parkway. Of course, the police department, for several years, this was their headquarters, their central precinct, as it were, and of course they are now over in the annex on Zach Hinton Parkway on the other side of McDonough, and now elections and registration is here. As she mentioned, October the 12th starts early voting here. They'll have 3 weeks of early voting here, and no matter which city you live in, if you live in Stockbridge or Locust Grove or Hampton, work in McDonough, if it's more convenient for you to come here 8 to 5, those 3 weeks you can vote here in the municipal election. Of course, the municipal elections will be taking place in all 4 cities, the 26th through the 30th. One more important date. Election day is, of course, November the 3rd, but October the 5th, that is a Monday, that is the last day you can register to vote in any of these municipal elections. For SCB News, I'm Monroe Roark.